Upon its release in 1999, The Matrix dazzled audiences with its deep philosophical and religious themes and innovative CGI-filled action sequences. It revolutionized the action movie industry, winning 4 Oscars along the way, but received little to no recognition for Don Davis's score, which infused orchestral, choral, and synth elements to orally illustrate the main conflict between man and machine. 20 years later, director Lana Wachowski would revive the franchise with a semi-sequel, semi-reboot, The Matrix Resurrections. Partly serving as a meta-commentary on the first Matrix film, Resurrections paralleled the original by recontextualizing one of The Matrix's most iconic scenes, Neo's wake-up from the Matrix. Accompanied by a score from co-composers Johnny Klimek and Tom Tykwer, Resurrections clues audiences in on what to expect from Neo's character arc in this revisionist piece of the franchise. Whereas the first Matrix's score during the wake-up scene uses instrumentation and melody to inform viewers of Neo's destiny as the One, or the savior of humanity, Resurrections demonstrates to viewers that Neo's priorities have shifted, and what was once a hero's journey becomes a love story between Neo and Trinity. Before comparing the wake-up scenes between the first Matrix and Resurrections, it is important to establish foundational musical themes prevalent in both works. In his dissertation from UCLA titled Taking the Red Pill, an analysis of Don Davis's score for The Matrix, author Christopher Heckman catalogs and analyzes every compositional element of Davis's score. There are a few key components to understand from his research to be able to make an informed comparison of the two films. Firstly, there is a binary prevalent in the film between humans and machines, reflected in the score through instrumentation as well as distinct uses of the chromatic and diatonic scale. To represent humanity's fight against the machines, Davis uses the human voice. And to represent the machines, he uses what Heckman calls pile drivers, or moments of intense percussion to orally emulate the oppressive regime that is the AI in charge of the Matrix.
I must get out of here. I must get free. And in this mind is the key.
These are further juxtaposed through the diatonic nature of the vocal lines, or the use of notes that you find in a major scale, and the chromaticism of the music associated with the machines, which uses all 12 notes in the octave. For example, when Neo sees all of the pods outside of the Matrix for the very first time, the score uses chromaticism, but a diatonic D minor chord is played as a representation of all of the humans stuck inside the Matrix. Just before Neo exits the Matrix, Morpheus offers him the red pill. The following sequence visually bridges the gap between the Matrix and the real world through the warping of reality, specifically through reflections. As Neo touches the mirror, the piano ostinatos combined with a 2-note flute melody gives the score a polyrhythmic quality. The polyrhythms only become more complex as Neo gets closer to escaping.
It's going into replication.
Hey, boss, still nothing. Let's go.
The most dominant sound, however, is heard during Neo's final moment in the Matrix. All of the frenetic, high-energy polyrhythms cut out to focus on a single voice, Neo's, transitioning from human to computer-generated, a subversion of the film's instrumentation binary in one chilling scream.
Now, Tank, now!
Once outside, the chromatic and diatonic distinctions are in full display. In the initial moments, there's a mixture of sound effects that include sparks of electricity and machine whirring with low minor brass chords that have a chaotic and dissonant quality. As Neo takes in his surroundings, we hear the first instance of the pile driver sound, and at this moment, as Neo sees the humans trapped in the other pods, a dissonant vocalist enters the underscore. What is at first one becomes many, as the transition from the over-the-shoulder shot of the pods in Neo's row to the extreme wide of the entire Matrix machine occurs. Here, the diatonic D minor chord sounds as humanity's motif, with the choir of voices resembling the billions of humans trapped inside the Matrix. function of the score in the first wake-up scene lies within the pre-established context of the film. From its first moments, we are introduced to the concept of the One.
What are you talking about? What is happening to me?
You are the One, Neo. You see, you may have spent the last few years looking for me, but I've spent my entire life looking for you.
The audience is not privy to what exactly the Matrix is until we experience it with Neo initially.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
And more explicitly, following his exit from the Matrix.
What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
No.
The score in this scene takes on a similar role as the one Bueller argues for John Williams' score for Star Wars through the audience's introduction to the Force theme. He writes, "When Luke steps outside with two suns hanging in the sky as background, a full statement of the Force theme accompanies him, despite the fact that at this point in the film, nothing about the Force has been revealed. The music seems to intuit connections that are beyond immediate rational comprehension." In a similar fashion, we as the audience hear the choir of voices outside of the Matrix for the very first time as the motif for humanity, and with the prior introduction of the concept of the One, the score reinforces that it will be Neo's destiny to liberate all of these souls before he or the audience is explicitly aware of this objective. We hear the same choir one more time, as Morpheus and his crew pick up Neo in the water and bring him to safety. The score takes on both the spatial perceptive function by directing the viewer's attention to the humans trapped in the Matrix, as well as a cognitive one through the score's implicit meaning as it relates to Neo. Just as Neo is waking up to the reality of this oppressive world, the score wakes us up to the reality of Neo's destiny as the One, the future savior of humankind. The Matrix Resurrections reboots the Matrix itself and plugs Neo back in during its first hour, introducing the audience to Thomas Anderson, the man responsible for designing a popular video game known as The Matrix. Hackers Bug and Sequoia, along with a program of Morpheus created from Neo's memories, are sent into the Matrix to wake Neo up. Once again, the details behind the creation of this new version of the Matrix and Neo's role are foggy prior to his extraction, but the film score similarly takes on a cognitive function by informing the audience of what to expect from this reboot installment. When Neo looks into the mirror shortly before his escape, a single vocalist is heard that rises above the minimalist strings and piano. It is a musical callback to Neo's old life as the One and his purpose as savior of humanity, which quickly turns dissonant after the veil is lifted and he realizes how the Matrix has altered his appearance to the rest of the world.
A feedback system called semblance. This is how you look to yourself. Somehow they were able to alter your DSI loop. This is how everyone else sees you.
This pattern appears yet again when Neo sticks his arm through the mirror, only to find the analyst reflected in his image, revealed to be the antagonist later on.
Thomas? Oh, God.
The extraction process is interrupted by rogue code until Bugs finds a hack in a bathroom mirror.
That mirror.
What? We'll never fit.
You gotta fit, because I don't have another way off the street.
Whoa. Line up. Oh, no.
Think perspective. Closer you are, bigger it gets.
Okay. Come on. In you go.
The chromaticism in the brass can first be heard in this section in a rhythm that mimics that of the first film. Once awake, the pile driver sounds once again, which serves both as a motif for the machines as well as locational music for reality. A choir of voices enters as Neo internalizes that he has returned to his real body, but it is notably distinct from the previous vocalist. This transitions into an explosion of chromatic brass and percussion, another instance of using instrumentation to convey the oppressive machine regime. But within the chaos and chromaticism lies the central theme of the film expressed through music, the love between Neo and Trinity. As Neo clambers his way over to the second pod, the music transitions into a single vocalist, representing Trinity and her humanity. Whereas the first film utilized a choir as a voice for humanity as a whole, the vocalist in this scene is a voice for Trinity and Neo's love. This three-note melody returns as a machine flies Neo directly over Trinity's pod.
Trinity.
To further emphasize the film's focus, as Neo flies over the rest of the pods in the Matrix, it is not a choir that commands the track like in the first film, but rather the chromatic brass to convey the dominance of the machines. The recurring melody is symbolic of Neo's priorities as communicated to the audience. He is not here to save the world again, but to get back the love of his life. It sets up the stakes of resurrections before the film explicitly communicates them. Whereas the choir of voices was dominant through the first wake-up scene, referencing Neo's role as the one and savior of humanity, the music tells the viewer that Resurrections will be a story about Neo rescuing his one true love above all else, as is revealed later.
If she tells me this is what she wants, you win.
Really?
But if she wants me, then you'll let us go free.
And if twice were not enough, the single vocalist and her descending melody appear a third and final time, just like in the first film, as Neo is brought into Bugs' ship to clarify his new mission.
Welcome back to the real world.
The wake-up scene in Resurrections serves as an example of how to recontextualize a visually similar scene through music to simultaneously innovate in a reboot while paying respect to the original source material. Both Davis and co-composers Klimek and Tikwer effectively use music's cognitive function in order to create distinct implicit meanings regarding Neo's motivations in both works, while maintaining the instrumentation and melodic binaries to represent man and machine established by Davis in the first Matrix film. It is a demonstration of the mythic quality of both scores that inform the audience of what to expect before Neo himself knows, and highlights not only its importance, but also the autonomous capabilities of a film score in relation to the image.